Hello everybody, my name is Davis and welcome back to another video, and it's been a while. I have been away, so I haven't been able to record or upload as much, so it's been a little bit over a week since I've posted a video, which is really unusual for me, but we're getting right back into the swing of things because today we have a pretty significant severe weather event that's probably going to happen, so let's go ahead and break it down. Now starting off, we have a marginal risk in the northeast here. Now this does include Boston, this does include Portland, this does include several other decently populated areas, so look out in that region. And then we have another giant marginal risk over here that goes all the way from the deep south into the Midwest, all the way into the Central Plains. Now, that is a pretty big marginal risk, but inside of it, we have a slight risk. So, if you are in this yellow region here, which includes the cities of Memphis, Jackson, Nashville, Bowling Green, Evansville, Jefferson City, St. Louis, Kansas City, Wichita, Liberal, Woodward, Tulsa, Amarillo, and much more, then be sure to be very weather aware today because you could see some tornadoes, some damaging winds, or some large hail. It kind of depends on where you're at. And then we even have an enhanced risk of severe weather today. So in that orange region there, you have a 3 of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather. So that includes southwestern Missouri, extreme southeastern bits of Kansas, and extreme northeastern bits of Oklahoma, as well as extreme northern bits of Arkansas. Now, while I was gone, there was actually a moderate risk of severe weather, which I've never gotten to cover on this channel, and unfortunately, it had to hit the same day that I was gone. But today we just have an enhanced risk, which isn't extremely uncommon, but it is something you need to watch out for sure if you're in that area. So that does include Joplin and Springfield, Missouri, not Springfield, Illinois, or Springfield, is it Maine? No, it's Springfield. I don't remember. Okay, well, I know there's another Springfield in the Northeast. But yeah, so now let's go and break down our threats. Starting off with our tornado threat, we have a giant 2% risk here that extends once again all the way from the south into the Midwest into the Central Plains. So if you're in that green area, you have a 2% chance of seeing a tornado that includes what? Okay, I did not mean to do that. That includes 18 million people and has a lot of very populated places. Again, all the way down into the deep south a little bit. So look out in that region. And then we have a 5% risk of a tornado in southern Missouri. So right here, this area needs to be watching out. We got Joplin and Springfield in it once again. So right here, if you're in this brown area, you'll have a 5% chance of seeing a tornado. So look out. And then we're going to look at our damaging winds. We have a big 5% risk up here in the northeast, and then we have a 5%, 15%, and 30% here in the other risk. So if you are in the brown, you have a 5% chance to see winds of 60 miles an hour or higher. If you're in the yellow, you have a 15% chance to see winds of 60 miles an hour or higher. And if you're in the red, you have the chance to see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher of 30%. So definitely watch out if you're in this red area, which once again includes Springfield and Joplin. So I'd advise anybody in that red area to take whatever precautions necessary for some damaging winds. Again, only 30% of the people that are in this region are actually going to see some damaging winds, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So look out. And then finally, we have our large hail outlook. We got a 5% risk in the northeast once again, surprise, surprise, and a 5% risk in our other area. And then a 15% risk in our other area as well. So if you're in this yellow, you have a 15% chance to see hail of 1 inch or larger. Nothing too concerning going on with the hail threat. That's pretty standard. So let's go ahead and move on to tomorrow, where we have another slight risk of severe weather that extends all the way out from the south into the Ohio Valley into the northeast, kind of in that tri-region area. So definitely look out if you're in that. And then we also have a marginal risk that extends all the way out from the deep south into the Midwest, into the Northeast. It's kind of in that region where it's within 3 different regions, if that makes any sense. So, we have a lot of very populated places here, including New York City, so look out. So, let's go and break down our threats. First off, our tornado threat. We have a 2% chance of seeing a tornado in this giant area. Now, this doesn't look like a lot, but once again, we have a ton of majorly populated cities in this area. You know, we got Cincinnati, we got Charleston, we got Washington, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. We got, I think Philadelphia is included in that, and much more. So definitely look out for a tornado if you're in this area. This covers 32 million people, but I wouldn't say it's anything too concerning. We might see one or two isolated tornadoes. So then our wind threat, we have a 5% risk of damaging winds and then a 15% risk of damaging winds. It's interesting. The slight risk basically includes the entire state of West Virginia just because it's so tiny. So let's move on to our hail threat, where we only have a 5% risk here in the south, northeast, Midwest region, Ohio Valley region. If that's a mouthful, but that's what it is. So 5% chance of seeing winds of 60 miles an hour or higher. Sorry, no, this is the hail threat. You have a 5% chance to see hail of 1 inch or larger. Normally this wouldn't be too big of a problem, but just because of how big it is, I'm gonna say there's probably gonna be one or two areas in this bubble that see hail of 1 inch or larger, so definitely look out for it, but it's not really a major concern. So then we even move into Tuesday here, where we have another slight risk of severe weather. We have a marginal risk that extends all the way from the deep south into the northeast. And then we have. Did I just say there's a slight risk? I meant marginal risk. I only got like 6 hours of sleep last night, guys. And then we have a slight risk over here in the kind of the border of the southeast and the north. So, if we go and bring up our cities here, we can see that we have Virginia Beach in here. We also have Norfolk, Chesapeake, Newport News, Hampton, and much more. So look out if you're in those areas. Unfortunately, since this is on Tuesday, we're not far enough out yet to break down the threats. But you'll have some 15% risk of severe weather or a 5% risk of a tornado. We're not really sure yet. And then, even if we move into Wednesday here, they have already issued a slight risk. So, up here in Minnesota, basically, there is a 15% chance to see severe weather, which is a slight risk. But again, we can't break down the threats yet, and we can't even see the marginal risk, with this storm. So, not too much to talk about on that yet, and then that's it. So let's move on to our excessive rainfall outlook, where we have some very active excessive rainfall going on. We got a tiny marginal risk in the northeast, a marginal risk over here in California. Man, okay, I'm just all of a sudden choking. We got a marginal risk that extends all the way from the deep south into the Ohio Valley, into the Midwest, into the Great Plains, into the desert Southwest. So this marginal risk is giant. If you're in green, you have a 5% chance of seeing excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. If you're in the yellow, you have a 15% chance of seeing excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. So that includes parts of the south into the Midwest, kind of in the southern Midwestern border. So St. Louis, Kansas City, several other areas as well, Louisville, Kentucky, lookouts. And then we even have a moderate risk for flash flooding, which for the last few weeks, Missouri has had several moderate risks of excessive rainfall. So if you're down here in Joplin or Springfield, Missouri, definitely look out because you have a 40% chance of seeing excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. Now, if you think about it, that still means that you're most likely not going to see excessive rainfall that'll lead to flash flooding if you're in that red area, but it's a high enough chance to the point where if you're not taking precautionary actions and then something happens, it's kind of your fault. So I'd definitely be preparing down here in southwestern Missouri, as well as very north central bits of Arkansas. But yeah. That's our excessive rainfall for today. And then going into tomorrow, we have another slight risk of excessive rainfall. And it's actually a double slight risk. So we have a marginal risk up here that once again extends all the way from the deep south into the northeast, into the Ohio Valley, into the Midwest. But then we have a slight risk up here in kind of the Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, just kind of border there. I don't know what else to call that. And then we have one that goes all the way from North Carolina and Tennessee all the way up to New York City. So if you're in the yellow, you have a 15% chance of seeing excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding tomorrow. But then let's move into Tuesday, where we have another slight risk. It doesn't stop there. So we actually have a triple marginal risk. We have one in the desert southwest and the Four Corner states, and then we have one in the northeast, and then we have one in the south over here in North Carolina. We have a slight risk of excessive rainfall. So if you're in this yellow, you have a 15% chance of seeing excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding on Tuesday. So definitely prepare for that if you're in that region, or not necessarily prepare, but just kind of know that it could happen. Be aware, all right? So then we move in to Wednesday here, and our threat dies down a lot for excessive rainfall. We just got basically the southeast here, and then going into Thursday, we literally only have bits of Florida. So yeah, Wednesday and Thursday, no real flash flooding concern yet. Let's go to the National Hurricane Center. Nothing forming in the Atlantic, but the water is so hot here that soon it's going to do something, and it's going to be big, man. So let's move to the Eastern Pacific, where we do have a hurricane, or actually a tropical storm, but it's going to turn into a hurricane very soon. This is Fernanda, and it's going to turn into a Category 1 hurricane, most likely. But luckily, it's just going to stay out here in the ocean, go up here a little bit, take a nice swim, and then it's fine. We have this yellow bit that has a 30% chance to form into something in the next 48 hours, but in the next 7 days, it has a 90% chance to form into something, so definitely look out for that. And then we have one that has an 80% chance to form in 48 hours and a 90% chance to form in the next 7 days. So this red X and this yellow X will most likely turn into something, which is pretty significant to have this many tropical storms out here at once. And then if we move to the Central Pacific, this is or is this a different one? Is this a different disturbance? No, it's the same one. But unfortunately, we did have the tragic event of Tropical Storm Dora. That's really sad what happened over here in Maui. The wildfires, if you didn't know, there were some terrible fires there. Pretty much burned down the entire island, and I think they're still ongoing a little bit even. So definitely pay our respects to our friends in Hawaii here. But yeah, it's pretty sad what happened with Tropical Storm Dora. And the thing is, that shows that a hurricane doesn't even have to hit to be deadly. So yeah, because Dora didn't hit. It just went by. I feel like a lot of people didn't know that. Dora went, out here, but it was a Category 4 hurricane, so the wind still reached the island a little bit, and that's what caused the wildfires. So now let's move on to the Climate Prediction Center, which is something that I've actually never done before. So let's take a look here. So if you look right here, we have our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So this is August 18th to August 22nd. This is what the temperatures are going to look like. So it's going to be extremely hot in pretty much all of the U.S. We do have some sections where the temperature is going to be normal, but the more dark red and pink you get here, the more above average your temperatures are going to be. So as you can see here in North Texas, central Oklahoma, and central Kansas, as well as very southern bits of Nebraska there, we have an extreme heat blob right there. So in the next week, that is definitely going to cause some problems. It's going to be extremely hot down there, which I know is nothing new for you southerners, but it's going to be pretty crazy. And then we have a bunch of other layers of red that extend all across the country. I'd say that once you get to like the orange layer, you're probably not going to notice a big difference. But if you're in the red, pink, or dark red layer, then you're definitely going to be seeing some hot temperatures. So look out, especially in the south, because it's already blistering hot there. Luckily, Death Valley in California is not above average, but yeah, definitely look out for that. And then if we go ahead and move on to our precipitation outlook for August 22nd, I can't talk, from August 18th through August 22nd, we have a lot going on in our precipitation anomalies. We have an extreme drought area that's going to occur here, and then we have an extreme, like almost monsoonal area that I'm gonna call that's going to occur up here. This is going to be some pretty crazy moisture up here, very rainy in this area, very stormy. That's pretty unusual for this area because it is kind of in the southwest as well as the northwest, which doesn't get too much rain. And then if you're in the Midwest specifically, as well as the South, as well as a little bit of the Ohio Valley, it's gonna be pretty dry in from August 18th to August 22nd. So definitely look out. And because we had a bunch of above average temperatures out here, it's going to be miserable, you know. Luckily, it's not going to be too moist, so the humidity won't be high, but it's going to be dry and hot and just ugly over here in the south as well as parts of the Midwest. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I mean, I don't really want to call it the lookout because nothing too threatening is going to happen with that. But yeah, let's move on to our day 8 through day 14 outlook. So this would include August 20th through to August 26th. So if you have anything planned in those dates that are outdoor events, maybe look at this before you think about planning those. So as you can see here, we do have a pink blob in the south as well as going into the Midwest. But that's not too uncommon. But it is going to be pretty hot here in eastern Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. You guys are used to that, but it's gonna be pretty above average hot in those areas on August 20th through August 26th. And then our precipitation outlook for day 8 through day 14, so August 20th through August 26th. We have a bunch of green here, which is the above average region for precipitation. So Idaho, it's going to be very wet and stormy there for pretty much the next 2 weeks because our day 6 through 10 outlook told us the same thing, that in Idaho, it's going to be wet. And then we have another pretty dry area. It's not super dry, but you probably will see a little bit less rainfall here if you are in the Central Plains, the Midwest, or the Deep South. So yeah, look out in that region, and that's pretty much all I have for today. This was an extremely long video compared to my other weather breakdowns, but they're getting more detailed, and I'd like to say that they're getting better as we go along. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Remember, if you're in this area today, look out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.